Hello, everyone. Glad you could make it. So, we have Kate, Jacqueline, and Vicky here so far. That's great. So glad you guys could make it. I'm in a rather excessive lime green today. I thought, yeah, I'm going to run out of colours soon. Or they're going to be so subtle they just won't show. Maybe I need a backdrop. Should we get a backdrop for W.T.Faith? Let's bring this a bit closer. Anyway, tell you what, let's bring Revo in. There you go.
Hello.
You're still in blue. I didn't change you.
I am still in blue. That's all right.
Didn't change you. Well, I think it matches your eyes, doesn't it?
No.
Oh no, I don't know my wife's colour of her eyes.
No, never mind.
They're green, aren't they?
Are they?
They're brown.
Not telling you.
You've got brown eyes, have you?
Yeah.
Hang on, let's zoom in on those eyes. Oh well. Night on the sofa again. Night on the sofa again. Oh no, not good. Anyway. Yes. I don't think I'm ever going to recover from that faux pas. Yeah, well, it matches your eyes in the sense of, in a contrasting kind of way. I'll give up. Anyway, I hope everyone's good. It's been mad. The weather has been absolutely shockingly hot, especially where Kate is. And actually, we've been over to see Kate today. Yes, shout out to Kate. And we got back in 15 minutes ago. And I had to pack everything up and stuff, so we're live. So actually, maybe I'll just hand it all over to Elaine, because I'm now going to rest from 5.5 hours worth of driving. No. Love being here. So glad that everyone is here. Hope everyone did cope with the weather. It has been a bit mad. Anyway, so rest. Let's have a quick look. The synonyms for rest: vacation. Yeah, okay, the American version. A breather. Hush, holiday, slumber, sleep, stillness, quiet, repose, tranquility. Go on, Elaine, you have a go at the antonyms for me. Nice. So go on, what's the dictionary definition for rest? Hang on, they can't hear you.
Could they hear me before?
Yeah.
Okay. Shall I start again?
So chat, did you hear Elaine's antonyms? You should be able to hear her now. Did you hear her antonyms? No. Right.
No. Okay. I'll go from the antonyms and I'll go on to a definition, yeah?
Okay, go for it. Go on.
Sorry about that, folks. So, antonyms: advance, agitation, noise, activity, energy, wakefulness, busyness, disturbance, clamour, and action. So those are all antonyms to rest. And definitions, Kate has researched all these synonyms and antonyms for us and the definitions. This is the first one: to cease work or movement in order to relax, sleep, or recover strength. So I think we all recognise that, don't we? Ceasing work or movement.
That's the top one. Top one. If this was, what was it, Family Fortunes or whatever it was, that would be the top answer. Top answer for family. Remember that? Everyone remember Family Fortunes? We surveyed 100 people. Who remembers that? Top answer. That's right. Go on then. What's
top
next
answer.
one?
There's another definition: to be placed or supported so as to stay in a specified position. So something comes to rest somewhere. I suppose that's what that means, isn't it? If you say I don't know. That's just what came into my head when I just read it.
When something comes to rest. So
yes.
So let's think of a kite that flies and then hits the ground and stops.
Yeah.
That's when it comes to rest. Or a car comes to rest when it runs out of fuel.
Or a tabletop rests on the legs, isn't it? I don't know whether it's that.
No. This is what I said. So when a car or something moves,
Yeah.
and then it comes to rest. It
Yeah, I see
comes
what you
to
mean.
stop.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Well, it could be that as well, couldn't it? Yeah.
No, it is that.
Uh,
Come on, let's start arguing. We're only 10 minutes in. Yeah.
well, yeah, but it is okay. But
Go
if
on.
you
Go on.
if you say I'm going the tabletop rests on the legs, isn't that about something coming to a stop as well? It's just a different sort of scenario. That's all I meant.
I don't know, because was your tabletop moving? So how does it come to rest?
Well, that's just where it stays in one position. The definition is to be placed or supported.
You can tell.
So
This
to
is,
stay in a
you lot can
position.
tell. You can tell we don't rehearse this, can't you?
No.
Anyway, got a note from Lynn.
Go on.
I won't put all the no's here. Sorry, late on parade.
Oh,
On
no,
parade.
Good to have you here.
Pray tell, what does that mean?
I think she just means late here. Yeah?
Late on parade. Oh, okay. Well, we're so glad you can make it, Lynn.
We are.
So we make it. We're talking about rest. Okay. All right. I think you can.
Okay. Well, never mind. We'll leave that one hanging.
You can have it. Yeah. Leave it hanging. Go on.
Yeah.
Then.
Okay. And Kate discovered some interesting facts about rest. That this is really interesting, actually. That there are 7 types of rest. So the 7 types are physical, spiritual, mental, social, sensory, emotional, and creative. And it says, whilst all are needed for good well-being, it's important to identify which you're most in need of and to concentrate on that. So there are different types of rest.
So let's go backwards then. So my first answer when we were rehearsing this in the car on the M18.
We didn't rehearse it very well, did we? Obviously.
When we talk about it. We talk about it. So my thing was creative rest. I think of writer's block. And maybe, I don't know, maybe Vicky can mention something. She's got a comment. I'll check that in a second. But maybe Vicky, the artiste out of us, do you have to rest from being creative? You can let us know your thoughts on that. Let's just see. I think we've got a comment in. So I think Vicky's, coming to your aid here. Because of gravity, the table stops falling when it rests on the legs.
It just fits with that definition of staying in one place. That's all I'm saying.
Honestly, it's you girls together. It really is. It really is. Yeah, go on, and that's fine.
Okay.
And just to say, brain's gone.
We were talking about different types.
Jacqueline, because Jacqueline's name isn't there, it makes me think. Jacqueline's just put her glad that Lynn's joined. So that's really
absolutely.
Good. Yeah, go on. Carry on, Revo.
No, just saying. I just thought it's interesting that there were so many categories of rest. I suppose, and in one sense, you think, well, yeah, physical rest is obvious. If you've been doing lots of physical activity, if you've been, whatever, you need to rest from it, don't you? And then, of course, the rest of it, I suppose, you think of as. But there can be rest from mental energy, can't there, as well, that you need. But it's interesting that there's so many, I suppose that's all I hadn't really thought. So we've gone back
to, then creative, emotional, so mental, right? So most of my working life, it's been in IT. So that has been a lot of thinking and typing and stuff like that. So that can become quite stressful, when you're constantly, and I suppose that's mental activity, high energy mental activity, which can be incredibly tiring. And actually, I suppose from driving, that's another example. I'm going to switch off our auto switches on our mics so they're just always live, all right? I don't want anything to go wrong again. It's driving 5.5 hours. That's quite mentally tasking, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think so. And I'll just look at the other. So.
Here's another one coming. Actually, that's really good. Actually, from
What's
Jacqueline.
That? What's that?
Laid to rest at a burial.
Yes, because that's true.
Well, is it
laid to rest, it is. Rest. Yeah, you put
rest
it in a particular
peace,
place.
That sort of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. There's the eternal rest. We're doing that
Absolutely.
a bit later. But look, you're right, Jacqueline. But physically, a body is laid to rest at a burial, isn't it? So there's a physical resting as well as a spiritual rest that we can talk about later. So
good one, Jacqueline.
But
yeah. So mental rest with that. Physical, you've talked about. We'll come to spiritual in a minute, which isn't resting from prayer. Social
rest. That's an interesting one, isn't it?
I get
social
that.
Rest.
I get that. Let's just have a quick look at Vicky's response to the resting creatively. Do you want to take that one?
Yeah, so Vicky says, yes, creativity is tiring. Some authors only write for 2 or 3 hours a day.
Yeah. But how does that work with you when you're painting? Is that like free flowing? I suppose.
Could Vicky phone in? I don't know. Could we do a
I
phone
don't know.
in?
Vicky, if you want to come in, you can come in online. If you want to come in through Vmix, just give us a holler. I'll send you the link. Not a problem. You can talk to me and Elaine about, whether you put down the brushes, put down the pencils, and think, I need to rest. I need a break from it. Anyway, come back on that. Yeah.
Social, you were
Social. I was
talking
going to talk about social rest. Yeah. See, I find, in fact, I've just had a conversation in the car again about a huge party that we're hosting. I don't like doing this stuff because
No,
I
you
think
don't.
I'm just not very. I like to be social in this setting. I think this is great. But when there's loads of people around me, those social settings I find really, really tiring. And I think it's because I'm actually, believe it or not, naturally introvert. Elaine's an extrovert. She would like to be out and about, seeing everybody and everything. I like being a bit of what I call a social butterfly. I can go and chat with this person, I go and chat with that one, and just have that and then kind of disappear. I like that. But social rest is something. Social media rest. That's what we need.
Well, that's true. That's
Right.
another one, isn't it?
Okay, so Vic's up for a link. I'll see what link. Whilst Elaine talks about the next one, if you want to take the next one, which one was that? Sensory, that'd be a good one.
Sensory rest. Well,
I'll get the link for Vic.
in a way that can link sometimes with social. So sensory, yeah, like you need a rest from. Well, I suppose I don't know. Maybe if you've got another interpretation, I haven't thought about what sensory rest might be, except rest from noise, maybe. It's too much stimulation. That's where the social media comes in, isn't it? It could be rest from a noisy environment, or it could be rest from, there's too much stimulation on the internet often, isn't there? If you're either interacting with people or you're doing games, so maybe people do need a rest from that as well.
What was that? Sorry, I was typing.
I was trying to figure out, I suppose, or think about, because I'd not reflected on this ever, what sensory rest might be. And I was thinking, my first thought was noise, that you can need a rest from noisy environments. There can be too much sensory stimulation, which you might empathise with, Alex. But I was also linking it to what you were saying about social media, because that can be overstimulating, can't it? If you're playing games or you're engaged in something, it's too much sensory stimulation. Maybe that could be something we need to rest from as well.
Do you want to take this call from Vic? Vicky's come in. Let me just sort out the screens. Okay, so Vicky's come in portrait rather than landscape, as she knows how much I'd rather have. Now she just rushed to switch it to landscape. So just adjusting the image. There we go. That's pretty good. Okay, let's bring in this one. There we go. So we're going to bring this in. You ready, Vic? Okay, she looks good. No, she's now hiding her hair. No, there you go. Hair's hidden. There we go. In we come. So
that's two me's.
Now there's two U's. We want that
that's
one.
No good.
Hang on. That gone. There you go.
Hello. Hi, Vicky.
Okay.
We can hear you, Vicky.
I need rid of that one. Hang on a minute. Let me get rid of.
Do the button thing.
Yeah, what am I pressing here?
I don't know.
To
How
get
do I
rid
know?
Of the two. I'm seeing myself twice.
Yeah, so you've got your own local image. We talked about this last time. So if you press towards the bottom of the screen...
I know we did, but what did I do?
If you press towards the bottom of the screen, then you'll have a menu come up, and then you select one, and you'll either disappear from me, or the other one will disappear.
No, I don't have numbers. I have little symbols.
Yeah, so it's the symbol of a screen.
Yes.
Press it and it should disappear.
There's a green one and a red one.
Yeah, tell me which one you pressed when you figured it out.
There we go, I did it. Yeah, that's
which one?
Hey.
Green one?
Green one.
Green one for local. Right, that's the one. Right, you ready?
Green one for local.
Go on
okay, yeah, I'm ready.
You two take it over.
I'm thinking I should have ironed my shirt first. But,
no.
No.
They draw attention to it now, Vicky. I wouldn't even have noticed.
I was just really grateful. Vicky, we're just really grateful you come in live.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah, come on.
Right, creativity. Okay, so there seems to be a finite amount of brain chemicals, and you use a lot of them when you're creative. And when they're used up, you've got to stop. So lots of artists become alcoholics, don't they? And writers. I think it's just I think it is just that you need to stop the sensory input from your creative imagination. You just
Yeah.
need it all to go. What I found is 2 or 3 hours and I'm done. But there are people with more stamina who can go longer. What I also found interesting, Elaine, was that when I was working as a minister, I couldn't paint.
Right.
That it used exactly the same part of my brain or brain chemicals, whatever. So when I worked, I had a back operation. I was off for 3 months, painted like crazy.
Right.
Went back to work part-time, was still painting a bit, went back to work full-time, stopped painting.
Oh. And it's not just to do with business. This is about sort of
No,
way of mind
no, ministering,
using. Yeah.
where
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
praying with people or writing sermons, or it's a creative process, I guess,
Yeah.
because it's
Okay.
linked to God, and the creative process is linked to God as well, isn't it? So, yeah,
Well, that's
that it was
interesting.
really interesting. That had never occurred to me. They were comparable occupations.
Yeah, no, that's right. That's a really interesting thought, actually. Yeah, yeah. But
Yeah, yeah,
but resting from being a minister is difficult, isn't it? So yeah.
very. Oh yeah, you have to go on offline, don't you? Off grid. You have to take yourself away. No emails, no phone, no contact.
Yeah.
Retreat houses are great for this.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah.
Find a
Sure. Yeah.
retreat house without
So
any signal.
yeah. Yeah. No, that's great. No. Yeah. We can definitely. Yeah.
Mm,
We're also going to talk about retreats in the sort of the spiritually bit next. But
mm,
no, that's great. So that's
yeah.
really helpful to think about. If there's any other creatives out there about if they find the same. I don't count myself as massively creative, but I could get that it does take a lot of energy, doesn't it? And it's hard to switch off from it.
Elaine, when you are creating something like services online or in church where you're creating them from scratch, you are being very creative.
Okay. I haven't thought of it
That
like
is a
that, but I suppose
creative
it is.
process.
Yeah,
It is, you're
yeah,
shaping something,
yeah,
and it is a creative process.
yeah. And I
Yeah.
suppose like everything, as you say, you can only do it in certain amounts of time. You can't always be creative, can you? As you say, because it's
No,
draining. So
no.
whatever it is you do.
I'm writing a
So yeah,
sermon. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
sure, yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah.
And
Well, thanks, Vicky.
leading a service is as creative as being an actor.
Mm.
It's a performance.
It's a stage.
Yes, yeah. It's a bit. Yes, it's like
It is a
a bit like
performance.
drama.
You
It
are
is. Yeah.
performing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, and I
yeah,
think I
Right.
suppose people
yeah,
who present, I just think generally, it's only something you ever do for a certain amount of time, isn't it? It's not something you can't be doing it
yeah,
all the time, and people often need
yeah,
time away from it. And I think
yeah,
also if whatever you're doing creatively involves you in presenting, so whether that's television or whatever it is, or even acting,
mm,
a lot of people need
mm,
time unless even if you are an extrovert, I don't think it matters. I think you need time to
mm,
retreat, don't you, and rest from it. I think Lynn had a comment about
mm.
that, didn't she? Yeah, yeah,
Right. Thanks, Vicky.
that's great, Vicky.
I'll let you
Okay.
go. Appreciate your input.
But can I just make one more point before I go?
You can
Only
make.
It
just.
You can
is.
only just make one more point. You nearly went then. Go on.
I know.
Go for
I
it. Go
know.
for it.
Did you know that in Liverpool we now have a place where you can go in those sensory deprivation pods?
Oh right.
Is that where they turn off,
It,
make it all dead silent?
yeah, and it's water as well. You're floating in water. It's
Yeah.
a sort of
Pitch
it's
black.
like an eggshell filled with water, and they put a lid over you, and you have goggles and ear plugs and all of that. So there's no noise, and because you're in the water, it's warm water. You're not feeling anything with your body.
So they like turn the gas
Yeah,
up to 180 and then see what cooks. No.
we hope not.
All right. Okay.
Right. See
Oh,
Thanks,
you.
thanks,
Vic.
Vicky. That's great.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah.
Right, hang on, Elaine. Let me bring you in on there. Yes, there we go. Right, let's bring in these comments. Yep. Thanks very much, Vicky. Appreciate that. Let's
Yes.
bring in. Lynn's put a couple of comments in. Let's bring them
Yep.
up. So the first one, even as a gregarious person, I've always liked my own space from time to time.
Yeah. Me too. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's. I don't think it matters what personality type you are. We all need times away, don't we? Times to withdraw from whatever whatever it is we're doing.
Yeah.
And be quiet. And I suppose that is a form of rest, isn't it? Just doing something different, or just being on your own, or whatever it is a form of rest, isn't it? Yeah.
There's another comment that Lynn's put in. Let's see what this one says. I would say that from a therapeutic point to, e.g., therapist to client. Right.
What was that? Was that in relation to something we said a little
Might
bit
have been.
earlier?
Might have been. Yeah.
I
Tricky.
might have lost the thread of that, Lynn. Cause, yeah.
Is it resting when you're resting as a client? It could be not actually. It could be really
Yeah.
quite taxing. If you want to add any more comment about that, Lynn, do so. That'd be great.
Yeah.
So where are we? How are we looking? 5 minutes left on the secular sense.
Have we looked? I mean, I wasn't going to talk a lot about spiritual rest because well, Vicky's touched on it and that's great, but we're going to talk a bit more like that. I'm just wondering if we've covered.
Let's swap me and you round.
There's emotional rest, isn't there? Was another one, and also mental rest. I find it sometimes difficult to know what where you one at one would end and another one. So for me, mental and emotional seem to be sort of similar, really. But emotional rest, I suppose, I don't know. Is that when you're going through a lot of things that might involve you in feeling a lot of a big emotional experience? If you go through something that's really, oh wow, people keep going, don't they, with adrenaline if it's something shocking.
I suppose the thing that's first come to my mind is imagine winning a rather prestigious award. That must be quite emotional.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not that I've ever won a prestigious award, but and I don't know. Maybe there's a bit of maybe that's not a thing.
No.
Maybe. I mean, you've had this. What about when you got your degree?
Yes.
Stuff. Was that emotional?
I suppose it was. I was more thinking of things where I'm trying to think of an example where you're suddenly thrown into something you didn't expect, and you've suddenly had to. I don't know. Maybe you've been in a dangerous situation, or something that has been a real emotional time. I'm trying to think of something that's nothing related to my job. I mean, even something like having children, or if somebody you love is in some sort of danger or something, and then it's all right again. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of situations that might heighten your emotions, and so you're on tenterhooks, and then it's over, and maybe you need to sort of rest to catch up with what that's taken out of you. That's what I was wondering. Because that could be an emotional joy thing, like you were saying, or it could be something that was really worrying. You don't know if somebody's going to survive an operation. I'm just giving an example.
I know we talked about emotion. I know we talked about emotional rest. I can't remember what we said. Anyway,
that's just my speculation.
Lynn,
I think
Lynn was meaning with regard to what Vicky said, when it takes a lot of emotional energy. Yeah. Okay, yes. That's cool. All right.
Yeah, emotional energy, I suppose, can take lots of forms, can't it? As you say.
Yeah, so, I think. Do you go through? I think when you're. I'm trying not to give anything away per se, but talk about specifics and stuff. You ever kind of going through several weeks of upheaval and planning and things that are stressful and things that are working out and things that aren't working out, and then you kind of think after that, you kind of think I need a break. I need a break, and that's been a really emotional experience because it's been highs, lows,
a roller coaster.
Yeah, roller coaster. I suppose is a roller coaster kind of. When somebody talks about things have been a roller coaster, do you think that that's more of an emotional thing?
I think so, because if you go through roller coasters, so 1 minute everything could be wonderful, and then things start to go downhill. So you I think we find it quite hard to adapt to that sometimes, isn't it?
Well, certainly when we talk about the broadcasting we've done over the last 2 years, 2 years, 2 and a bit years, I suppose now, the broadcasting we've done, that's been a bit of an emotional roller coaster with a lot of the planning, with some of the content we've done and the effort that we've put in as well. Let's have a quick look.
I just thought of another example, like if you go for a job interview and it's really important to you, there's that emotional roller coaster, isn't it? And then if you get it, there's all this, whoa! And then if you don't get it, you've got that, I don't know, that's something.
How does it go? Yeah,
Little sound effects might
anyway,
help.
so if you get it, you go woo, and if you don't get it, you go ooh, whatever. Right, hang
But then
on.
you've
Yeah, I
got to
get it.
emotionally get over it, haven't you? So
Yeah.
that's why you might need
All right.
rest.
Let's pick this one up, you, with the sound effects. Go on.
Okay. So Kate says mental rest is where you stop forcing your brain to work hard and give it time off. Give it time off. Emotional is to express your feelings. Oh, right, you're sort of talking about the difference between mental rest and emotional rest. No, that's a really good
Yeah,
point.
see, maybe we should ask the
Yeah.
person that writes the research
Yes.
more often to explain the research.
Yeah.
You know, good
No,
one.
you're right, Kate. There is a difference, isn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, yes, mental rest, it can be like when you've really been having to concentrate on something really hard
Yeah.
and you need to stop. Or learning something. Learning can be tiring, can't it? But emotional, yeah, it's like, it's the as what it is, isn't it? The ups and downs of how we feel about things, which
Yeah.
is different, isn't it?
And
yeah.
I think Lynn liked your effects. So there you go. That's pretty
Good. I'm glad I'm appreciated, Lynn. Thank you.
Right, okay. Look, we've hit the half hour, so let's do the move. Let's move to how this works with resting and how that works with faith, God, and stuff.
Stuff, yes.
So over to you. We've already got you on the main screen anyway. I'm going to get these buttons to work better because I've got some buttons here. Yeah, that make things happen.
Yeah.
Like, oh, yeah, I haven't done this one. If you haven't hit it, I'll put it tiny there. Make sure you like the stream, subscribe if you haven't already done so, and smash that bell. So anything we do, you'll be alerted to.
Yeah. So what does, interesting to think what anybody else thinks, what difference does having faith make to rest? Because all those things we just talked about, we can rest from, can't we? We can find ways of doing things, whether that's going and sitting in a room, where it's going to do some painting, if that might be relaxation as well as whatever. It might be going for a swim or a run. People have loads of ways of relaxing and resting. It might be going on a holiday, lying on a beach. So, you know, those are all rest, aren't they? So it's an interesting question, isn't it? You know, what do we mean by rest from a Christian point of view? Is it the same? I suppose it's a question to ask of people. Is it the same then? Is there any difference?
All right. The first thing that comes to my mind, without trying to sort of embed the spirituality right at the get-go, is that, again, I mean, I've talked about this with prayer, and no matter what the state is that I'm in, and I remember doing this quite early on and thinking, I was really thinking live, thinking, actually, this is right. I always feel better after prayer. So prayer gives me a sense of rest. It kind of calms me. It calms me down. And I also think that whatever's going to happen in a spiritual sense, we kind of have to be in a bit of a place. Do you think that's right? Or do you think, can you be spiritually angry? Can you hold stuff up and kind of, in a Christian sense, do something when you've got heightened emotions or all of this?
We had a bit of a discussion on this on the anger week, didn't we? Are you thinking there's like there can be righteous anger, can't there? Do you see? Yes.
But you can be angry about something. But when it's like, let's just say, for example, if in the heat of the moment you're angry, and almost like that red mist, and you're fuming, you know, there's a difference to that kind of anger and being righteously angry in that instance versus having righteous anger about what's going on in the world. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Emotionally, you're not so invested as that kind of heat of the moment anger.
Yeah.
But I also think that for us to properly kind of engage when it comes to prayer, meditation, whatever people want to call it, you know, when you kind of try and connect spiritually, if you will, you have to kind of put yourself in a space. You can't do it busily. You know, it's not like, oh, you know, I know, although, you know, we kind of might do some sort of half-baked prayer whilst driving. Do you know what I mean? Of course, with both eyes open, you know. Or you might be praying in the passenger seat and, you know, you're reflecting and the situation might be right. But I just think, do we need to be sort of rested? Do we have to sort of rest ourselves in some sense?
Well, maybe, but I was sort of thinking that, there are things in the Bible about rest. I suppose my question really is is it a different sort of rest that we can get through having faith? But what's in the Bible, one of the things in the Bible about rest, of course, is the very beginning in Genesis where God rests on the seventh day, doesn't he? After creating the world in 6 days, God rested. So
And why not? He's been busy.
he's been busy.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think that's and that was the Sabbath, and that was the origin, wasn't it, the Sabbath, which was very, very important to the Old Testament people. Had to keep the Sabbath.
Very
it was a holy
important
day.
still.
It is important, but it's that principle of rest, because actually I suppose it's a pattern of life, isn't it?
Do you know,
that we need to set aside times to rest.
I've got to jump on this because actually, everyone on this chat must be, of an age where they can remember when nothing was open on a Sunday. Do you know what I mean? So in the Christian calendar, I guess, our day of rest is a Sunday. We go to church worship and stuff. In the Judeo calendar, it's on a Saturday. So that's Sabbath for them. So interestingly, back in the day, when nothing was open on Sunday, and I think in Scotland that's still the case a lot of the time, and I suspect in other parts of the world that they do rest, they enforce rest.
Well, yeah. Interestingly, on that note, do you remember when Alex and I went to Berlin some years ago, just for a few days, and we had plans to get the family presents on the Sunday. We were only there for about 3 days, and Sunday was our last day. And we've been doing all this sightseeing. So we went to get the presents, and there was nothing at all open in
Everyone
Berlin.
shut.
So Berlin, we found one cafe was open on a Sunday morning. Everything else was just closed. So, it surprised me because I tended to think that everyone else in the Western world was the same as it is in the UK, but that's obviously not true.
How wrong you were.
But I think this thing of having a day of rest, isn't it? Is biblical, but and I think that it's really a day to spend to focus on God, isn't it, rather than just doing nothing. But that idea is there, and I was just thinking about as well, if you look through to the New Testament as well, that that Jesus actually always took time out, didn't he, even when he was ministering to be with his Father. And also, he was never in a hurry. You never see Jesus saying, "I'm sorry, I haven't got time. I've got to go to here and I've got to go to there." So it was a bit of a model of a different lifestyle, I suppose.
He had planning down to a T, didn't he? Yeah.
So
I think Jesus' Filofax must be perfectly written. Do you know what I mean? No, because he was calm. He's cool as cucumber and never in a rush. And yet we're all nuts and we race around like lunatics. And am I just thinking about you? Yeah, race around like lunatics, never on time, all this sort of stuff. But there is interestingly, is that when we have the busyness of our lives, can we not take the foot off the pedal from time to time? And I'm not just talking Sundays of rest, because I think we do, in a sense of society has put itself in a position where it's, I know for a fact living down south, which is why I have that northern accent, although most people down south probably think I sound like a Scouser. Down south is much more of a rat race than it is up here. And it's become more busy, I think, up here in recent time. And I think that really does affect people psychologically. They don't have this rest. And maybe the concept of enforced rest on a Sunday should be brought back.
Maybe.
I mean, we can talk about the spiritual side and the fact, people go to church and so on and so forth, but I suddenly think of the bigger picture where you've got families coming together for meal times, the roast dinner sort of thing with the family and stuff. I digress from spirituality, but it does sort of link, doesn't it?
Well, it does. I mean, it's harder to find rest in a culture where everyone's always busy and everything's always open, and you can, you can go shopping any time, you can do things any time because things never seem to close, do they?
Lynn's got a comment. Let's just bring this in, darling.
A niece who does not have faith surprised me when she said she wished shops were not open on a Sunday. She's a busy working mother of 4, but she recognised the value of such a rest. Yeah.
There's hope for her then.
Yeah, I mean, yes, because I think...
No, out to her.
Yeah. And you do hear there are some... that's great, Lynn, isn't it? And I know we know of a couple of Christian business people who don't open on a Sunday, but it's been a really difficult decision for them, really. Because,
it's been problematic.
Because of our culture and because everyone else opens on a Sunday, so they're the only ones who aren't opening on a Sunday.
I knew a guy, who ran one of the top end garages, like the main dealerships, ran one of those, and he wouldn't open on a Sunday, so they'd get rid of him because of his faith. And you kind of think, well, I think it was his. So it's like, no, was it his garage? Yeah, I think it was his garage. And then he started representing it. I think they do it like franchises. So you could say, let's just use Ford. It wasn't Ford, but let's just use Ford. Rover, Rover doesn't exist anymore. Let's just use Rover, right? So Rover, so he had a garage. He took on a Rover kind of brain's just gone. What did I just call it? Called franchise.
Yes.
Yeah, and then because he wouldn't open a Sunday, they weren't happy with him from that perspective. And I know another car owner who owns their own garage, and I think there's a shop called The Entertainer. There's a chain of those. The other ones is owned and run by a Christian who won't open on Sunday.
Yeah.
But look, I don't want to digress from the spirituality.
Okay, we'll
go for it.
Focus more on the spiritual. So so there's obviously there's that pattern in the Bible and of rest, but there's something very famously that Jesus said about rest in Matthew's Gospel, where he said, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." There's something about us being given rest by Jesus, which I think anyway is quite different to just sitting down and having a cup of tea or lying on the lying on the beach, lovely as they are.
But I think that's true rest. But I think the clues in the verse, "Come to me."
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a valid point.
Yeah.
I think, is that physical rest? I mean, he talks about burdened, weary or burdened. I mean, is that troubled? That is troubled mentally, troubled with the world.
I think we all get weary though, don't we?
No, but you know what I mean. Weary and burdened to me feels like you've got a massive backpack on. Yeah, and I don't think that's what the verse really kind of is referring to, that you're really laden down with 50 kilos of weight on your back and you're weary and burdened. I think that weary and burdened is talking about troubled in mind and spirit. So you'd agree? So he's saying, when you're troubled in mind and spirit, come to me, yeah, and I shall give you rest from that burden.
Yeah.
And, again, one of those things that kind of,
So, and I think it's... and for me, that's an important, because that's sort of rest from the things that are troubling us as well. So, whereas I suppose without faith, if you've troubled, then we can ask, people can help us and we can try and sort it out. But actually, when we come to Jesus, it's like that invitation that he will give us rest, because we can give our burdens to him, can't we? And we can, it's just a different way of thinking of it, and we can give them to him and know the sort of peace that he can only give us, that comes through knowing him, isn't it, and faith. But it's quite a hard thing.
So I'm thinking about, from a non-Christian perspective, I'm thinking about it from one of the things that we all do as Christians is try and solve our own problems.
Yes.
As well, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
From my experience, I guess early on in my spirituality, my faith, if you will, I still tried to solve all my own problems rather than handing it over. Maybe because I wasn't quite sure how to hand it over. Do you know, again, it comes back to prayer for me, because like I say, I always feel better after prayer. So it's almost like this was a prequel to this comment. And, Matthew 11, verse 28 is, I can take my problems and hold them up. Does that solve my problems? Not necessarily. Does it make me look at my problems in a different perspective, having prayed for them? Possibly. The dynamic changes about those problems. So it seems that, maybe that prayerful moment enables you to look at them from a different lens and think, actually, do you know what? I'm kind of being guided to say, look, it's not as you do it, yeah. Maybe it's not quite that bad, and being able to rest in God or rest in the Lord, in Jesus, by holding them up to him.
Yes.
Which, like I said, I was rubbish at it, because, how do you do that? How does that work? And again, it's like, quietly just pray and hold it up. And get into that zone and try and hold that up and speak about those problems, and then those things, from my experience, they happen. It's like it's almost like I've handed over a load of trouble,
Yes.
a load of grief. It's like
Yeah.
Go on, sorry.
Well, yeah, I think part of it is recognising that we can't always handle everything ourselves. It's recognising our dependence, isn't it, on him? That he will, that it's a handing over our attempts to try and sort it all out ourselves, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's a key thing, actually, because for me, part of my battle in my life is trying to make sure I can control the things I can't control, which is a fight that goes on forever. What's the point? I can't control certain things. Certain things I felt that I could control, and then found out actually I can't. I sort of learned the hard way, and I suppose holding those things up. And I've got another comment from Lynn. Let's just have a quick look at this one. Do you want to say that?
Yeah, to me, rest means prayer, time with God, and being able, though difficult at times, to give problems and actually letting them go. Yeah. I think you're absolutely right, Lynn, because that's it, isn't it?
Boss.
Letting them go, that's the hard bit, isn't it? And I know from my own experience as well, sometimes when the chips are down, it's just easy to go. It's so easy to go the other way, isn't it? Think, right, I've got to sort all this because but actually, there's something amazing about coming in prayer, isn't it? And sensing that you're talking to him about it, and you sort of you are handing it over, aren't you? And knowing that he's the one who is ultimately in control, and all we have to do is trust, isn't it? And trust and listen as well. So it's like a surrendering of our own control, but it's letting go of those heavy things, isn't it, and giving them to him. Yeah.
I suppose what we're finding out in What the Faith, I suppose, when we try and take this kind of secular view and bridge it, and then that bridge is a key point for what the faith is about, certainly for new Christians or early Christians, about helping them walk in that or step out for it, if you say, is that prayer is so powerful. And it's so important. I mean, I suppose at the end of the day, it's our only communication with God, isn't it? It's prayer.
That's how we speak to him, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, it always, in some sense, it always comes back to strike us of the importance of prayer. As Christians, as those who are tentatively having a go, if you will, and trying to see if this works for them. I mean, at the end of the day, no one at Unleashed can make anyone believe in God. It's an individual thing, and God convicts you of it. So, when I say having a go, it's like that you're turning to see if you can work in this relationship with Jesus, I suppose, and give it a go. But prayer is the phone call, isn't it? It's the mechanism. I mean, I've had some really intense prayers. Have you? Like really, really intense prayers, and you come out of it, it's almost like you've been in some almost a sense of deep meditation, rather than Heavenly Father, thanks for the blessings today, and I'm being a bit facetious in this prayer, but sometimes it's really deep, and you do come out of that it's like, wow, that's really changed me a lot. So.
Yeah, no, I think that's right, and I do love that verse in Matthew because Jesus just says, "I will give you rest." It's not like, oh well, I'll help to make it a bit better.
I might do. Yeah.
I will give you rest, isn't it?
And if you get the wording right, it's like there's kind of like a quiz at the end. It's not about that, is it? I think the sincerity in which you turn to Christ and hold it up and say, look, I this is how I feel. These are the problems that I'm facing, and Lord, take this from me. Guide me. Those sort of things. You do that with sincerity, and then there is something about that process that I don't know how to explain it. It's what faith is, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah.
Go on, then, let's move on. Any more?
Well, I don't know if anybody else has got any more time. Well, there are more things, I suppose, about rest that are worth talking about. Because Jacqueline mentioned at the beginning about a body being laid to rest as well, and we often say, in terms of when people have passed away, rest in peace, isn't it? Rest in peace. Laid to rest at a burial, Jacqueline said. But there's also about entering God's eternal rest, which I suppose all of the stuff we talk about rest is, isn't it? But there's rest while we're here on earth, but there's also the rest that we go to in the next life, I suppose. It just made me wonder, think about that phrase that you always hear about rest, which is rest in peace, isn't it? And when people have passed away, we say, well, may they rest in peace. And that, I don't know, for me, I thought that's about being in God's rest, isn't it? If for eternity as a Christian. So, does that make any sense?
Yeah. It's about as deep as the oceans. It's quite deep. So yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think about when I think about funerals, and you know, it's interesting that even non-believers will go to a funeral and get a sense of. You know, I see people when we hear on social media somebody dies, for example, some cheese, you know, or celebrity, whatever, and people put RIP up. Everyone puts RIP up, you know, and you know it's almost like they can't help themselves from sort of putting up some prayerful comment, because that's what that is, isn't it? So you're almost saying, you know, that person rests in peace, and of course that's fundamental about us when we talk about death and bereavement.
Yeah.
But yeah, you talk about everlasting rest. I don't know. Maybe I don't think that everlasting rest is like that. I don't know. Who knows what?
Well, we don't know, do we?
Yeah,
No,
you know,
no.
you never know. You might have me really busy. You can have me really busy, but in a really restful way. Who knows? But who knows what heaven's going to be like?
There'll be a lot of theological stuff about that. So I don't know. I mean, I know I'm preaching on this on Sunday, so you know,
tune in. Make sure you're there.
There's probably a few more
Elaine,
things.
Elaine will be commenting about your comments. You know, because you're helping to build the sermon for Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really important. Have you got any other scripture then that's worthwhile putting up? I can see some other notes on the noteboard.
Well, I don't know.
Oh, hang on. There's a few more comments that come
Let's
up.
have a look at comments first. I'd rather have more comments than more scripture for me. Agree, Elaine, we enter truly and fully into God's rest and peace. No tears or mourning. Yeah, that's a good point, isn't it? Yeah, there would be no more tears and mourning.
And our lovely mate Joan. I'll just put that in because I think she's going to disappear off.
Okay. Come and say goodnight. I have a really bad headache. Oh, sorry to hear that, Joan. Wanted to quote Psalm 16, verse 5 from the Passion. Translate before I go. See next block.
Okay.
Is that on its way?
I think that's on its way. Oh, no, you've got a headache. Well, we'll pray for you at the end.
Yes,
we'll definitely pray for your headache.
Yes. I love your cat, by the way, Joan. I don't know if I've seen your cat in the picture before. Isn't it lovely? Sorry.
Have you never noticed that?
No, I've always been there and I've never noticed. Oh, sorry.
Well, Joan is actually the only one who's got their own picture. Yeah, you're either an L, a V, a K, or a little person. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Joan's uploaded her own, what do they call them, avatar. Okay. So we'll wait for that next block to come in. Oh, hang on, there's another one coming from Kate. Let's have a quick look at that whilst we're waiting for Joan.
Yeah. So when Trevor died, knowing he was resting in peace with Christ gave me peace and rest here on earth. Yeah. There is that sense of it, isn't it? When you know a loved one who's a believer is resting in peace, resting with Jesus. Yeah, it does, doesn't it? So yeah, there's something about definitely an eternal quality to rest, isn't there? Which starts in this life. That's why we can have rest in this life, I believe, isn't it? That we have the rest that Jesus gives us, but with Jesus for eternity. So, but we can have some of it in this life as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I think what I was probably trying to allude to earlier is that people who don't have faith, who probably, I'm not saying are atheist per se, but might be, I'm not sure, kind of still get a sense of that their loved ones have gone to a better place.
Yes.
And you know, I think we have that assurance as Christians. We know, but I think that people yearn for that. They yearn for that sense that their loved ones. Anyway, yeah, thanks for that, Kate. I'm just going to bring up Jones because I think she's going to run off and go and hide away in the dark.
Verse? Yeah. So, Lord, I have chosen you as my inheritance. You are my prize, my pleasure, and my portion. I leave my destiny and its timing in your hands.
I like the way she minces her words there. I'll get something powerful. Absolutely. I mean, that is true.
Yes.
That's a really good representation of resting in the Lord. It's holding it all up and saying, look,
It's all in his hands.
I give it to you. I give it to you.
Yeah.
And I think that's the key, isn't it? Of true faith is being able to do that, which of course we all struggle with. Absolutely.
Yeah.
How we
No,
doing?
thank you for that,
Yeah,
Joan.
so-
That was great. Thank you.
Joan, I hope your headache gets better soon.
Yeah.
You've had COVID, haven't you? You're not coming down with something, are you?
You need to rest, Joan. Go and rest.
Rest. Hang on. Good night and God bless.
Yeah, good night. God bless, Joan.
Yeah,
we will be praying for you at the end, definitely.
That's a very typical. Take care, Joan. That's a very typical British saying. You're coming down with something. What does that mean? You're coming down with something. I love phrases like that. British stuff. Well, we'll have to pray for it in a couple of minutes when we wrap up.
Yeah.
Anything else that you want to quote on or share, or any other thoughts, or do you want me to put any other thoughts in? What I like to let you try and let you do.
There's nothing. I haven't got anything else. There'll be other things. If you tune into the sermon, there's a few other bits of scripture I'll be talking about.
You haven't written it already, have you? Bits of it. You've laid it
Yeah,
out.
it's on the way. It's on the way, but I
okay.
always wait for tonight, because obviously tonight's important input too.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Wouldn't be the same without you. So, has anyone else in chat got any other comments about rest that they want to add from a spiritual perspective? Feel free to do so. It's fine. I'm just thinking about it.
Yeah, it's a big topic. This is quite a big topic, really, isn't it? You know, it's quite broad. We think of everything we've talked about tonight, from having a rest to, the eternal rest, isn't it? There's a lot to just that word.
See, you often want rest, don't you? So
Me.
Get in. I want a cup of tea. All right.
Oh, I don't like a cup of tea.
Cup of tea and a rest.
Yes.
Cup of tea. In fact, I've got cold coffee now, but cup of tea. So yeah.
Dilly likes rest too. The dog. In fact, he's always resting.
What is it? What was it? That resting? No, lying dogs. No, what was
Sleeping dogs lie.
Yeah. Well, that's resting, isn't it? All right. So, let's have a look. Anything else on the notes?
No, we've had lots of good chats, so thank you, everyone.
Yeah,
it's been great to
very
have
good.
everyone's comments tonight. Yeah.
Yeah, we've got a fill for. You got 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
Maybe you do 3 minutes of prayer. No, I won't do that. Well, first off, we'll pray for Joan. Let's move down so my head doesn't poke out the ceiling. And I love the fact that Lynn, lots of comments from you. Love that. Keep them coming. And some good comments from Jacqueline.
Yeah.
And Vicky, thank you so much for joining us live. And if anyone else can do it, just click on the link. I'll send you. We could have Vicky and somebody else at the same time, all being live.
Yeah.
That'd be exciting. We'll put you all on the screen. I'll find somewhere. We can put that on. We can have a bit of a chin wag then. Chin wag and talk about these things.
Yeah.
Thanks to Vicky on that, and Kate, as always, thanks for doing the research for us and getting that work together for this show. That's really, really good. And of course, Joan, her last comment, and it's really good. We could have a party. Look at that. We could have a party. Isn't every Thursday night on What the Faith a party anyway? It's a bit of a party.
Yeah.
Look, I'm going to pray up. I'm going to pray up for these people, these wonderful people that have joined us. So, Heavenly Father, before I hand over to Elaine to finish, Lord, I just give you thanks that you give us this opportunity to share time with our friends and community. And we talk about these matters, these subjects, and not in a totally deep and theological sense. We just talk about it in a kind of real sense of, what it's like for us, and the things that we come across in our lives, and the things that we suffer with. Whether it's fear, loneliness, depression, all of these subjects. Lord, just give you thanks so we can share it and talk to our community about it. It's really, really good. And I give you thanks, and I'll just read all the names because I'll just forget. So to Vicky and to Joan and to Lynn and to Unleashed Broadcast, no, that's my comment, and to Kate, Kathleen, Just, Lord, we just thank you and ask for your blessings on each and every one of those. And not forgetting Jacqueline, whose name doesn't appear. And to Jacqueline as well, just ask for blessings on those. And we just thank their input. And, they help to make this programme work. So, Lord, we just give thanks for this opportunity and thanks that we have this this time on a Thursday night. So, just pray for this in Jesus' mighty name. Amen.
Amen.
So, do you want to finish up on a prayer? You've got 27 seconds.
What time does it? Okay.
Yeah, no, you'd be right. You go
so
for
yes, Lord, we do thank you for this time together, and just pray that you work on all the things we've been talking about and hearing, Lord, and just help us to see your insight into this, Lord, and your understanding. And so thank you for the chance to talk about it together. And so, yes, we just hold everyone to you, Lord, and particularly pray for Joan this evening, Lord, and we just pray for healing for her headache, Lord. And I just pray that she has a really good night's sleep tonight, Lord.
Yes, Lord, yeah.
Just pray that you heal her as she sleeps, Lord, and that she wakes refreshed tomorrow. And I pray the same for everyone here, Lord, that we all have a good night's sleep, Lord, and you just bring us to tomorrow, refreshed and ready for another day. So thank you, Jesus. We ask all this in your mighty name. Amen.
Amen. Look, that was a minute. Did
I overrun?
No, you're all right. Anyway, guys, thanks for joining us tonight.
Yeah.
We shall see you on Sunday for the service and 11 o'clock.
Yes.
It will be brilliant.
No, 11:30 even.
So I've been.
So you've changed the time.
I've been driving 5.5 hours, so you know what I mean. But 11:30. See you guys then. And if you're not free, watch and catch up. And if not, then perhaps we'll see you next Thursday. So, bye from me, and
God bless.
we'll see you Sunday.
Bye.